لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك.
Hello and welcome to a special episode coming your way from Nile TV International, celebrating Eid al-Adha, or the Greater Bayram, and the Feast of Sacrifice. We will be shedding more light on the efforts of the sector of tourism, marketing and the business environment in general with my dear guest for tonight, Mr. Alaa Khalifa, the international tourism marketing expert and the international business marketing expert. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on this special episode.
Thank you.
A happy Eid.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be with you again in Eid al-Adha. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine. We will be starting straight away with a report about Eid al-Adha and the Greater Bayram, as about 28,000 tourists are said to be visiting the pyramids during the 4 days of Eid al-Adha, and about 3,700 tourists are said to be visiting the citadel. All those numbers and more in the upcoming reports. Stay tuned.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك.
During Eid al-Adha, a significant portion of Egyptians travel for holiday, leading to a surge in tourism. Egypt's government has announced a 5-day public holiday for Eid al-Adha, which extends from Thursday, June 5th to Monday, June 9th, 2025. This creates a prime time for Egyptians to visit popular tourist destinations like Cairo, Sharm el-Sheikh and Alexandria. During Eid al-Adha, a surge in domestic tourism is expected in Egypt, with popular destinations like South Sinai, Luxor, Aswan and the Red Sea resorts experiencing increased foot traffic. To prepare for the holiday, the government has instructed agencies to ensure uninterrupted public services, sufficient commodity supply and market oversight. The archaeological sites and museums across Egypt have witnessed a significant influx of visitors during the first 3 days of Eid al-Adha. According to an official statement, a substantial number of visitors flocked to museums and archaeological sites over the past 3 days of Eid. The Giza pyramids alone saw 28,500 visitors, divided as follows: 8,000 on the first day, 10,500 on the second day, and 10,000 on the third day. Meanwhile, the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir welcomed around 10,000 visitors. The Citadel area had about 3,700 visitors. The Greco-Roman Museum in Alexandria saw 3,700 visitors, and the Prince Muhammad Ali Palace in Manial had 570 visitors. Additionally, the Museum of Islamic Art received 213 visitors, and the Coptic Museum had 410 visitors. Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, represented by the Supreme Council of Antiquities, formed an operations room from various sectors of the council to monitor work and receive visitors at different museums and archaeological sites nationwide during the Eid al-Adha holiday. These operation rooms have taken all necessary security measures and ensured the constant presence of antiquities inspectors and museum curators at all archaeological sites and museums during visiting hours. This ensures smooth operations and addresses any obstacles that might hinder visitors from enjoying their visits. This comes in light of the supervisory and organizational role of the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities and the significant influx of visitors to Egyptian museums and archaeological sites, particularly Egyptians during Eid al-Adha. This provides an opportunity for visitors to enjoy the holiday and learn about their ancient civilization up close.
Welcome back. You're still watching Nile TV International, and this is special episode celebrating Eid al-Adha and the Greater Bayram here in Egypt. And I'm honored, as I said in the beginning, to be having with me in the studio for tonight Mr. Alaa Khalifa, the international tourism marketing expert and the international business marketing expert. Of course, very important topics and fields nowadays, especially during Eid al-Adha, the Greater Bayram, or the Feast of Sacrifice, and the summer season as well. How do you see the importance of the marketing campaigns, the efforts of the Ministry of Tourism to be having more and more tourists coming to be visiting those sites, like the pyramids, for example, like the Citadel, as we did say at the beginning of the episode, but in an organized manner?
First of all, it's a pleasure to be with you again.
Pleasure is all mine.
And we need to understand that destination marketing campaigns are normally being classified as seasonal campaigns. Means that these campaigns are into particular destinations, like outbound destinations for us. Some of the destinations that are actually exporting tourists to our area are more preferable to have these tourists coming to us in the winter season.
Yes.
Other ones are taking the best time for them is to export their tourists in the summer season. So in this criteria, our call of action for our marketing campaign, and I'm sure this is what's currently been happening,
yes,
is that it should be focusing on the seasonality of the year, which means some campaigns are more active into countries which are exporting tourists within the winter and the autumn season, some other ones within the time of the summer and the spring season. Since we are in summer already, and since we are celebrating the Greater Bayram,
yes,
and not only this, but next month we have a very important event, or like actually next month we are having the inauguration of the new Egyptian museum, which it's in the middle of the summer season, and then we have August, and then we will start again a new season in September, and then October, and so forth. What we will do is that there are some Latin American markets that are more susceptible to more to send their travelers within this time. There is a Spanish market. They send their travelers within this time as well. There are some destinations where it's more okay for them to come, whether they want to enjoy less crowded areas because that's in the summer, and also they can tolerate the highest temperature. So in the Arab, I would say, market, especially the GCC market, is more into the summer season, into traveling, because that's the only time where they take school holidays, and then, so they utilize the 3 months to travel all over the world, especially Europe and North Africa. In this regard, we receive large number of tourists to the North Coast, and that's where we are able to utilize this opportunity and launch a special episode for the Arabic market.
Yes, so you mentioned a very important step, which is utilizing the opportunities. You mentioned the seasons, yes, that we have here in Egypt, and yes, the kind of tourists coming from different parts of the globe who wants to be here in the country during those different seasons. But what about the strategies? This is your field of expertise as well, to be putting a strategy to be attracting the tourists from within Egypt, domestically and internationally. What can be done?
There is a lot of different strategies, but the best thing is just to work it on a marketing mix.
Yes.
So what we call a marketing mix today is just a number of activities that are mixed together in order to attract the target audience that are more susceptible to come in within the summer season.
Yes.
Also getting people to show them how important to come to a less crowded area, how important to come to parts like new emerging tourism products such as the North Coast.
Yes.
So we have been extremely successful in the last 3 years, attracting a lot of Arab travelers or travelers from the GCC area to come and enjoy the North Coast of Egypt. Also during the summertime, a number of nationalities coming into the to enjoy Hurghada, especially they're coming from the CIS area, which is the old Soviet Union area, and then Spain more into cultural tourism, where they come to Luxor and Aswan to enjoy
Yes.
cultural tourism within the summer season. And the reason that this is their peak outbound season is because that's the peak inbound season within Spain itself. So when the time when there is a lot of tourists are full, you know, filling Spain, the local
like the
citizens
Alexandria.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
They want to leave Alexandria.
They want to leave Alexandria exactly at this season
Yeah.
because they can't, you know, stand. The city is becoming more you know, busy with a lot of newcomers coming from the Delta. The same thing, Alexandrians go to somewhere else.
Yes.
The same thing happens for Spain and many other, and also Portugal, and where people are coming here, you know, to enjoy alternative locations for their holidays.
You mentioned a very interesting point, which is the hidden gems, the less crowded places that
Yes.
we have here, aside from Cairo, Alexandria, Sharm el-Sheikh, the big names for tourism. How can we be marketing for those hidden gems that even some Egyptians don't know about?
Well, it's important that you have to tell the story right.
Yes.
Okay, and it's all about all about storytelling.
Yes.
And this is where I salute all tourist guides in Egypt, because within the summer season, when they see tourists are like sweating of the high temperature or the humidity, then they mention to them two important things. The first thing is that you come to the best time of the year because it's a less crowded time of the year.
Yes.
Because within the winter season, these tourist sites, they have only a capacity. You can't put a lot of thousands of people coming at the exact same time, you know, and then tell them come and enjoy it, even though the weather is right, but the capacity is not right at this stage.
Yes.
So when people take the lead and they become adventurous enough to come in the summer season, then you need to tell them what are the benefits of coming in the summer season. The first benefit, you get best prices. Second benefit, you get also less crowded sites. And there is a third benefit, is that you get availability on everything. So whether you want to go here, there is always availability, especially in the summer. When it comes to cultural tourism, when it comes to leisure tourism, especially North Coast, you know, Sharm, and many other areas where people are more into mingling with domestic tourism, whether Egyptians going into domestically to the North Coast, and then you have Arab tourists coming in and mingling, that becomes more of a festive season. So
Yes.
the more you are enjoying more festive time where you can celebrate, go out, outings, a lot of outings, new products are coming out, and it becomes like all year round hub. And to be honest, I was talking one time to one of the ministers, and I was so intrigued by his idea that it's about time that we make it a diverse
Yes.
hub for a lot of tourism products that works all year round. And this is the main thing. We want Egypt to be full of, as a diverse hub that with a lot of touristic products in which these products can entertain, cater to tourism all year around, 365 days of the year. We want people to come, see museums, see culture. We want them to visit temples. They want to go down to the south. Want to go to the north. Want to come to the leisure tourism. Want to go to the beaches. Want to do adventure tourism. Whether winter, whether, and of course when it become for these you know, divisions, winter, summer, you know, the rest of the year, then you need to present whatever suitable products to suitable markets that fit them more than others. Okay, and of course
Tailored for them.
and also you need to understand two things. You need to understand that sometimes when you have travelers coming to do cultural tourism, especially in the summer, they need to get special pricing. Because not everyone is doing cultural tourism in the summer, which is more into the southern parts of the country.
Not even the Egyptians.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the same thing happens vice versa. When you have travelers, whether domestic, whether international, going to the north coast in the summertime, where it's the peak of the seasonality, the peak of the pricing season, then when it comes to the winter season, when you get those travelers going in the winter, it's also important that you need to drop your pricing in order to be elastic, to get these areas working all year round.
You said, Mr. Alaa, a very interesting point, which is we can be giving them better prices in this summer season, for example. But in the winter season, we do need more hotel rooms. We need a bigger capacity,
of course,
for someone who wants to come in the winter season with the better weather, cultural tourism, to be visiting some place like the pyramids, like Luxor, like Aswan. Those places, we need more rooms. So we need bigger investments. We need more money in this field. How can we be getting more investments?
I'll tell you, no matter how many rooms you have in the country, right now we are in 210,000 rooms, but it's all subject to supply and demand. Okay, if you come in the winter, the large number of people, more than what is being supplied, then the pricing would go up. So the more demand you have, the higher the pricing. Okay, so it's all subject to supply and demand. In this case, what we are planning to increase our capacity to 400,000 or 500,000 rooms.
That's like double, maybe.
Absolutely. It's because that's what our ambition is. That's what our vision is. 2030, we want to reach out to 30 million travelers. And in order to reach that kind of capacity, you need to have accommodation right, you need to have the spaces right, and you need to have the connectivity right. Connectivity comes into the connecting between various cities across the world with your major airports, and you need to have the right places of accommodation. Whether these places could be hotels, could be hotel apartments, it could be individual hotel apartments, and it could be holiday homes, it could be spaces, it could be anything. And this is why the Ministry of Tourism, just a couple of months back, they issued an allowance for many entities to use their areas as spaces like hotel apartments. So you're able to rent out your home, becomes like a holiday home, for other people to enjoy it. So we will be coming soon, like Spain, where we have thousands of, millions of people coming in. We rent out our properties, and then we go somewhere else.
Can we double the number of hotel rooms in 5 years' time?
We can, but it's not doubling. If you think it's a doubling, that's a big dream, and we can, because see, hotels, they come with a specs. And to meet every specs for these hotels, that means you're only catering to a level of travelers. But there is another level of travelers, such as family tourism, for example. People would like to travel as family. They'd like to have the space. They'd like to have the capacity. They'd love to mingle with local communities. They'd like to stay in spaces. They like to stay in hotel apartments. They like to stay in a villa or in a room or somewhere else, and they would like to stay downtown. So if the hotel capacity downtown is not yet able to cater for them, then they go to Airbnb style accommodation. In this way, I have to tell you something, that we will keep building, keep increasing the capacity, keep encouraging people to do let out for whatever they have, like leases and subleases, and this way you get tourism to be accommodated, and then you will be able to have various levels of pricing. Once you have that kind of various level of pricing, cater for the ultra luxury, cater for the luxury, cater for the medium, for the 4-star, for the premium, for the budget, for the low budget, and for the whether that means you are attracting more and more travelers. You'd be mistaken to think that 30 million travelers will come to you from a high-end perspective. It will never happen.
It will be a mix anyway.
Of course, you will have to go target different markets and target different budgets. And the only way to do that is to offer various mixed products.
You also mentioned that one important factor for the tourists is the tour guides. to
Yes.
be storytelling,
Of
to be
course.
telling the story of Egypt historically, culturally, religiously, even in the beaches, everywhere, the tour guides. But on the other hand, do you think that it is important
Tour
for the
guides.
people, the Egyptian people themselves, to be friendly with the tourists? Because we can see a lot of people, YouTubers, influencers coming nowadays, them and their cameras on the streets of Egypt. And maybe there is the language barrier, but they still interact with the Egyptians as well. Do you think that storytelling is important, but being friendly as people, the culture should be changing for the tourists in the future?
It is changing right now. I have to tell you, it is changing right now, and the perception of people, the local people, seeing tourists wandering in their local towns,
Yes.
and carrying cameras and taking pictures or interacting with the local communities is changing and shifting. And there is a lot of collaboration at this stage. Also, there is, you know, the way how there is a space of tolerance, you know, of people doing various actions in order to engage into cultures. You see, you need to understand the DNA of tourism this year, this decade. DNA of tourism is culture and discovery, adventure. So tourism is all about the three things: creating culture, engagement, discovery, communities, or discovery of communities, and adventure that you are able to remember for a very long time. So it's an industry of creating memories. If you don't have the right experience, if you don't have the right memories, and if you don't have the right engagement, then it is not a pleasurable trip for you. So here is where the tourist guide comes in as a very important factor. Some people think, okay, we'll have any AI tool that will be able to replace tour guides, whether in museums. It will have a holobox that can be able to talk to you or talk to travelers. That's totally unpractical.
We need interaction.
The reason that is unpractical,
Yes.
and it's a big dream, and it's not going to be fulfilled, because what makes us different than machines is the intuition. When you have the intuition, the feelings, the tender, the happiness, all of these different things, when you have them engaged and interacted with another human being, it creates this inner impulse of you know, happiness or joy or sadness or anything like that. And this is where tourist guide come in as a very, very important element in creating what we call the touristic experience. So tourist guide with his travelers will tell them a narrative. That narrative is being organized in his own mind in order to deliver a specific message or
Yes.
number of messages.
Yes.
The delivery of these messages goes right from the mouth of the tourist guide, from his brain, straight not to the brain but to the heart. So that what I'm telling you goes straight into your heart.
Yes.
So you become like a, you change the preconceived idea that you have about a destination. Let's face it, there's a lot of huge bad preconceived ideas, perception about Egypt and about other destinations in Egypt, about people, about you know, culture, about everything. The only person that can change that is the respectful tourist guide. A tourist guide spends years studying this, studying culture, studying history, studying archaeology, studying everything, and then he reformulates this entire kind of knowledge into storytelling. When he puts out the story right, he converts people from believing in the myth into believing into the truth. And that's when the truth happens. And this is what we need tourist guides for. So tourist guides are, you know, irreplaceable. You can't replace tourist guides, and you need to listen to them. You need to listen to what they're saying, because they are your first line of defense against myth, against preconception. And they are the ones, let's take it for example.
Yes.
Byron, Greater Byron Feast. right? You are on the first day of a Greater Pyram feast. We are at this day. Now, if there are a number of tourists going around the streets with a big bus, and then they see sheep being slaughtered, you know, in the middle of the road, and the first thing they would ask, what is that? Oh, why are you killing your animals? That's what it comes to that, right? But then the tourist guide would pick up the microphone and tell them, ladies and gentlemen, what you're looking at is a tradition of the sacrifice. What we're doing, that's why we call it the sacrifice feast, because at this time is the time of the pilgrimage. That's where certain rituals are being carried out to follow the same footsteps as Abraham, a great prophet. So what happens is that Abraham had then start telling him about the dream of Abraham and how he saw a dream that he's sacrificing his son and that he's slaughtering his son, and he thought that this is God's order, and then he would take his son, take him up to the mountain, and when he was about, which is a test from God, to test Abraham's faith. And then when the tour guide goes on and tell them that when he was about to slaughter his son on top of the mountain, then God sent a sheep to save his son, and it's a ram. And Abraham understood the message and slaughtered the ram instead of his son. And ever since that time, for hundreds of years, for thousands of years, that it becomes a tradition during the pilgrimage season. Then Muslims across the world, in order to commemorate what happened with Abraham and his son, and how his son was extremely obedient, and how Abraham was extremely obedient, that they are sacrificing a sheep and then they take that meat and they give it to poor people. And when it comes to the on the pilgrimage season, when people go, those 2 million pilgrims, when they go to the top of Mount Arafat, and of course they're supposed to do and spend the night like Abraham did, and supposed to slaughter a sheep, but nowadays they don't slaughter a sheep. It's going to be very messy. So what they do, they pay voucher to the governments there, they buy the meat from different countries, from New Zealand, from Australia, millions of heads of sheep, and what they do, they slaughter the sheep, they take the meat, and then they give it to poor countries, they give it to poor African countries that are in famine, or help them. You know, this is what happens. So it becomes a season of charity, it becomes a season of giving, it becomes a season of commemorating, you know, obedience, commemorating, you know, sacrifice, you know, for the sake of God. And that's the only, and that part is mentioned in the Travelers' Bible. If they come from a Christian religion, that as Christians they know it, because in the New Testament that is mentioned, that Abraham took his son, when he was about to slaughter him, God sent the ram. It's the exact same story as in the Quran. So once you clarify this to the travelers in a very good storytelling mood, they understand it, they understand what's happening, they understand that this is a time of giving, they understand that this is a time of festivity, time of celebration, they understand what people, and then you take them further and explain to them what does it mean, pilgrimage? What are these footage that they see all the time in CNN about those you know, pilgrims that are you know, going around, why they go around the Kaaba, you know, for 7 rounds, why they go between Safa and Marwa, and what happened, and then you tell them about the story of Hagar and her son, and how she was looking for any passerby, and her son was so thirsty she had to go and look for help. That's how she ran between the 2 hills 7 times, and on the 7th time she found that there was a spring of water erupted under the feet of the child. So the story is there. You just need to remind them that the story is there. Once you tell them Abraham, once you tell them this is the tradition, once you tell them as a sign of gratitude that Abraham built this building, the cubic building, which what we call the Al-Kaaba, which is the most sacred building, as the first establishment, you know, for God, in recognition to God's, you know, respect as the first dedicated monument to God, and how he helped his father, and how they built it. And just tell them why they do it, why they go between Safa and Marwa, why they had to do the sacrifice in top of Mount Arafah, why they had to spend the time, you know, in top of that. Once you tell the story right, once you tell them what's happening in the Greater Pyram, people understand. And when they understand, no matter what they see in CNN, in terms of then they understand that this is a tradition. The same thing that like happens in during what they call it, a very special feasts in the United States, when they have the turkey, you know, for example, Thanksgiving.
Yes.
When they have the turkey, you know, you need to explain to them, you know, why they do that. They come to you, the Americans, they explain to you why they have to do that, why millions of turkeys have been, you know, cooked during that time. The same thing. We have our own tradition. We have our own, it's across the entire Muslim world, and it's our tradition. Once it's been explained nicely, quietly, a great storytelling that goes from my mind straight into my mouth, right into your heart.
You've highlighted the importance of the tour guide and the importance and the significance of storytelling, and of course you've mentioned as well how important is it that the culture is being changed for the Egyptians. They are more friendly with the tourists, with the YouTubers,
Absolutely.
with the influencers on the streets, with their cameras. They have more tolerance. But on the other hand, one important point, one important topic for someone who wants to come and visit and experience Egypt and maybe to be documenting his or her tour on camera or on social media is the tolerance of the security apparatus, the security measures. Do you think that we have more tolerance nowadays by the Ministry of Interior, by the police officers on the streets, that the tourists could be coming with their cameras and they have the freedom to be shooting, they have the freedom to be taking the pictures and putting on social media? Do you think that this has changed?
I can tell, but I mean, honestly, it's very, very, you know, I would say shady topic that
Yes.
that I can tell whether they changed or whether the attitude has been changed or anything like that. But all what I can tell is that there is new generations of officers that are really understanding that there is something called tourism experience. And the only way to fulfill that tourism experience is to allow people to create their own memories. However, on the other hand, I fully understand what are the security measures, and I fully understand that we are not in a world where angels, you
Yes.
know, around us. On the other hand, it's important also to have this kind of distinction, to distinguish between a tourist, you know, that is taking a very innocent pictures for people doing something, and a tourist who's taking a picture for a pile of trash,
Yes.
for example,
Yes.
right? So if when a tourist is showing how a special food is being done, like in a culinary tourism episode, and a tourist that is showing, you know, that people are more the way how they you know, treat animals and other things.
Yes.
So there are ways. It's important that we have that kind of distinction. But in all, I would say, because of the Great Byron Feast, that we are very proud of our officers. We're very proud of our, you know, local authorities, and we understand that when they do things, they do it because of this is their mandate. And we think that the understanding is shifting and is changing, and they're trying to do their best. I'm quite sure of that. And if there is anything that we need to tell them about, then the good thing is that they're good listeners. They listen to you, they listen to the tour guides, they listen to the tour operator, they listen to the ministry, they listen to their, you know, to the input that comes out from social media. But important to understand that
Yes.
when there is a feedback comes out from a number of tourist guides, especially for an experience around the pyramids, for example, there has been like a debate in the last 2 months. When that thing comes in, it's because tourist guides, they don't want that storytelling to be interrupted.
Especially with the new projects being implemented.
Exactly.
Yes.
They don't want that to be interrupted. So for example, if you have a group of 20 people, for example, and you need to deliver a message, and then comes in and tell you, no, get them off, get them into a bus, mingle with other people. When is the time you're going to be telling your story? When is the time you're going to be sharing that feeling? When is the time you're going to be sharing the awe-inspiring feeling? Be very difficult. And how you take them into the shade, how you guarantee that people will take the heat, how you guarantee all of that. So what they were saying is that give us the opportunity, if we are a bigger group, to be on our own, or we will fulfill your track, we'll fulfill your area, but at least give us the opportunities we can do the storytelling right. And for the smaller individuals, for the smaller number, for 2, 3, 10, 5, 6, 7 people, that's fine. That's easy to control, that's easy to tell them the story anywhere else, that are easy to get them in a shady area. In a very quiet, you know, respectful way they wanted to deliver their message, okay? If you work as a tourist guide, which I've proudly worked as a tourist guide for many, many years, since the beginning of the 90s, until I gave up the job like many, many years back, I have to tell you, it's one of the greatest jobs in the world, and it's one of the greatest, you know, I can say a message that we are carrying, that we have to give travelers that are coming to visit Egypt. Travelers see Egypt through the eyes of the tour guide.
Yes.
If the tour guide is the best ambassador to represent his own country, is the best storyteller, is the best joker, is the best communicator, he's the one that bridges the gap between the local culture and what the tourists, you know, get to experience. He's the one that have this kind of connection between what is accepted and what is not accepted. He's the one that explains religion, culture, society. He's the one that really, without his existence, we would have had people having the wrong, the worst perception about not only our country, but about the entire region. We reprogram people here when they come to Egypt, and I'm proud that we have the best tourist guides in the world, and God bless them all, and bless you and everyone else that highlighted this role.
Yes,
Thank you.
Mr. Alaa, allow me to be going to the other report of the special episode for the Greater Bayram, or the Feast of Sacrifice for tonight, as we are transitioning here in Egypt from 15 or 16 million tourists per year to 30. This is the ambition, this is the goal, this is the target. How can we be reaching that? We'll be having more details in the upcoming reports, so stay tuned.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك.
Egypt's new tourism strategy is focusing on capacity building, sustainability and new promotional techniques under the slogan Egypt Unmatched Diversity. Egypt is embracing a new tourism strategy centered on diversification and innovation to attract a growing number of international travelers with a focus on specific targeted markets. Minister of Tourism and Antiquities Sherif Fathi highlighted the ministry's forward-looking vision and mission. He outlined the pillars of the new tourism strategy, including sustainability, capacity building, digital transformation, and enhanced promotional tools. He reported impressive growth figures for early 2025, sharing optimistic projections of continued growth in the years ahead. Fathi said, "Our goal is clear: to position Egypt as the world's most dynamic and diverse tourist destination." He added that under the slogan of Egypt Unmatched Diversity, we are working to unlock the full potential of our heritage, nature and culture, transforming them into marketable world-class experience that speak to today's global traveler. But the strategy is not only about attracting tourists. The ministry's mission also focuses on embedding sustainable practices across archaeological sites and tourist destinations, ensuring that local communities benefit directly from tourism revenues. This approach is designed to foster greater public awareness of the importance of heritage conservation and to encourage local residents to become active partners in protecting Egypt's cultural and historical treasures as well as touristic assets. Recognizing that people are the true drivers of quality tourism, Fathi said the ministry is heavily investing in human capacity building. A state-of-the-art e-learning platform is currently in development that is set to offer a range of training programs in both virtual and in-person formats. These programs will target tourism service providers, equipping them with the skills required to deliver world-class services. In parallel, the ministry is strengthening partnerships between academia and the tourism industry by supporting practical training within Egypt faculties of tourism and hospitality. Egypt is also charting a greener future for its tourism sector through a series of initiatives. According to Fathi, 41% of hotels nationwide now use clean energy, reflecting national effort to reduce the sector's carbon footprint. Solar energy stations have been installed in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme at several key archaeological sites, including the Giza Plateau's Visitor Center, the Muhammad Ali Palace in Manyal, Sharm el-Sheikh Museum, and National and Royal Jewelry Museums in Alexandria. Clean energy vehicles have also been introduced at iconic sites like Giza Plateau and Salah ad-Din Citadel in Cairo to enhance accessibility while minimizing environmental impacts. As part of its revamped strategy to boost Egypt's global tourism appeal, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities is intensifying its reliance on digital platforms, placing social media at the heart of its promotional efforts.
Welcome back. You're still watching Nile TV International and this special episode celebrating the advent of Eid al-Adha, or the Greater Bayram, and the Feast of Sacrifice. And I'm honored to be having with me for this episode in the studio Mr. Alaa Khalifa, the international marketing expert and the international business marketing expert. Thank you very much once again for being with us tonight. We were speaking before the break and before the report about the importance of tourism, the importance of storytelling by the tour guides, the friendliness of the Egyptians, the cooperation of the Ministry of Interior. What about the importance of social media campaigns in this day and age to be attracting more and more tourists?
In the hardcore of the tourism marketing for destinations comes social media. So without social media, we can do our strategy. Most of our strategies are built on utilizing the power of social media. Social media is like a giant monster. You know, if you don't tame that monster well, if you don't listen to what that monster is doing, if you don't understand what is happening on social media, you're wasting years of marketing. This is why countries nowadays, they realize the importance of social media, realize how that when the story is being put right on social media, how it get people engaged, how it get them more interacted, how to get them you know, to take your destination to be in their to-do list. On the other hand, many countries around the world started to realize how important to do what we call today social listening. What is a social listening? You need to understand what people are talking about. You need to understand, not on a spy on them, but just to understand how they take your topic, how they take your subject, how they address your history, how they address your archaeological sites, how they address their experience, how they address your food, how they address any emerging crisis that comes out from your destination. This is the only way to do the right evaluation and to know how to go in and put the story right to people. Social listening is the most important thing. So not only that we utilize social media into our marketing campaigns by pushing out many media buying campaigns on different segments of people that we are targeting, but also social listening to understand what is being said and how we're going to respond to that on a timely manner.
Yes, and finally, do you think that Egypt, in terms of the private sector, the public sector, the government, are we getting bigger partnerships, better partnerships, the partnerships that we need as an Egyptian entity or an Egyptian identity, something, a brand for Egypt? Do we need to be having more and bigger partnerships, or do we have what we need nowadays?
We can be dancing solo. It takes two to tango all the time. So if you want people to bring tourism to your country, if you want them to collaborate, if you want them to engage, you need to utilize them as a third party. You need to have them merging and moving your content into their content.
Yes.
We need to have what we call today co-marketing campaigns or joint marketing campaigns. And that's not an invention. That's something that it's been utilized widely across the world because it proved to be effective. And the KPI that comes out of it are far more greater than when you do it as a solo marketeer or a solo marketing campaign. That comes out directly from you. So that's why media buying nowadays, when it comes to tourism marketing organizations across the world, it has to come with a third party. And this is why these DMOs, they go to destination marketing organizations, they go and collaborate or do an effective partnership or a co-marketing campaign with airlines, with tour operators, with suppliers, with OTAs, with destination distribution channels, you know, they do it with booking engines. So there are ways, you know, that you have to do that kind of collaboration, and you can't get people to work. You can't work alone, and you can't get people to work alone. You need to give them an incentive. You need to collaborate. You need to support. You need to do joint marketing campaigns. You need to tell them your directions, and you need to feed them in your content. If you don't do that, they will put any content. They will prefer other destinations than you, and the third thing, they will put you at the end of the list, and we want to be at the top of the list.
Yes, hopefully we can do that. Mr. Alaa Khalifa, the international tourism marketing expert and the international business marketing expert, thank you very much for being with us tonight on ITV International.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Pleasure is all mine. And this brings us to the end of this special episode from Nile TV International about the advent of Eid al-Adha, or the Greater Bayram, or the Feast of Sacrifice. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow.